Hey, hon.
Hola. ¿Qué te pasa, señorita?
I have had personal experience with receiving help from the angels and the saints. But I've been learning that we can also be receiving messages and help from our dearly departed loved ones, as well as our spirit guides.
Right.
Would you please explain more of that to us? First of all, what is a spirit guide?
Man, I remember hearing about spirit guides, and it was really weird to me. But a spirit guide, we recorded a video about saints and angels, Sufis, right? We left out spirit guides,
Right.
so this is good. A spirit guide is someone that's been alive. They were a human being before, they embodied, then they passed on. And once they passed on, instead of coming back to earth, like being reborn right away, they decide to stay up in heaven to help other souls with their journey. So that's what a spirit guide is.
Okay.
You know, if you watch that movie, that No Solar movie, if you notice, after the guy died, the doctor, he went up to heaven, and they started training him. And he wanted to be a doctor, but they had him doing other jobs. He's like,
Right.
I was a doctor on Earth. Why am I not a doctor up here? I said, go do your job.
The
whatever your
doctoring
job
is
was.
way different.
Exactly, right? So that's what happens. You get up there, and then you start to get trained for something, either to come back to embody, or for you to go and help another soul and guide them.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
Yes. So, how do we know who our spirit guides are then?
That's really a tough one, because, as you know, I've been working on that for a while. I know a couple of my spirit guides, and I can see one of them, maybe a couple of them, but you can have multiple spirit guides, and you might not know who they are for a while. And that's because, as we found out, your spirit guides, ascended masters, even your loved ones, they don't want to scare you. So let's say, for example, you want to find out who your spirit guide is, at least one of them. But when you go and ask the question, your heart starts to race. That means you're scared. You really don't want to find out, right? And I remember in the beginning, I was like that, like, okay, if you're there, my spirit guide, I'm like, oh, please don't show up. Even though I'm asking it, but deep in my head, I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm ready for this. So of course, my spirit guide didn't show up. So until you're ready, they won't show up. But whether or not you see them or you know who they are, it's not even important. The
Right.
fact is that they're there. And if you want to prove that, it's very easy to prove. You know, you could just... We had the example of the lady that was taking a bath with the candles.
From a book you read.
Right. So you could tell that story.
I don't remember the full story.
Oh, no, okay. So here she is taking a bath. She never believed in spirit guides at all. She wasn't even really familiar with the term. One of her friends had told her something like that, right? But, oh, you have spirit guides, people that can help you. But she didn't know anything besides that. And she decided to take a bath, and she was having a tough time in her life. Literally about to give up, you know, because you're like, I don't know what to do. This is really hard. I've never experienced anything like this. And she decided to take a bath, and she had that, what is it called?
Candelabra.
Candelabra, right, where you can put all these candles
Multiple
in.
candles on a candlestick.
So she had one of those that had 6 candles, which is a nice number, actually, you know, multiples of 3. And she was laying there, and she just said, you know, if anybody's here, will you please just give me a sign? And she just said that because she was probably desperate. And one of the candles went out. And then she was surprised, but she wasn't scared. So she decided, you know, let me just ask some questions. The questions that have been bothering her, things she needed guidance on. And she asked the questions, and as she asked the questions, a candle would go out. And that would let her know that there was a yes answer.
Ah.
And that's how she got the guidance, and then she followed the guidance. She still didn't know who her spirit guides were. And when she told the story to her friend, she thought it was amusing. You know, she was surprised, but she thought it was funny in a way. But it did work out for her. So I don't know if that helps you understand a little bit.
It helps me, but it also triggers a memory for me.
Oh, what's that?
several times through my life, I have met individuals, always men that I can recall.
Okay.
And I was told, I remember 3 precisely that I asked you about one night when we were sitting down talking, and the gentleman actually came through and said that, you know, he's been around me a lot in my life, and he's, I've seen him many times. And now as I think about it, I think, well, that must be my spirit guide, because after having that conversation with you, I said, oh, I'd really like to get to meet him again and ask some questions. And it so happened a while later, I don't know if it was a couple months or how long it was, but we went to a fish market, and there was an elderly gentleman with, looked like maybe his son with him. And you told me, okay, you should go talk to him. I got so scared, I froze, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't go talk to him. And I asked you later if that was the guy, the same, you know, spirit who's been with me and helping me. And you just said, well, I guess we'll never know. You didn't go talk to him. I was like, oh. So, but thinking back, I'm like, oh, maybe that's one of my spirit guides who is actually coming to me, you know, and just giving me little helpful tips or little, you know, tidbits that I needed at points in my life where I really needed it.
I guess we'll never know, huh?
Don't do that. I don't feel as chicken now. I don't feel as scared now. No, the thought of it, I get excited, that excited feeling. But
it's good you got excited, even though you didn't follow through. Because some people, you know, they'll be like, oh, I can't believe I did that. I'm so terrible. I can't.
I know, I apologize to him a lot. Saying, I'm sorry. No, back then.
Oh, okay.
Back then I did. I was like, I'm so sorry. I was
like
excited. Right, up in the air. I was like, I was excited, but at the same time I didn't know what to talk to you about, and I couldn't really understand you because of the accent you had. No, those are all the things that went through my head afterward. I don't know if I've ever seen him again, or if he's come in other forms to me, but, you know, that's...
The spirit guides will come to you in whatever form they feel is best, you know? So, well then, but I've also been shown now, you had another experience apparently with some gentleman, a thin, tall guy dressed in white, and he gave you flowers. That's what I'm seeing. When you were younger.
Okay, well, that's, again, he appeared that way when we talked, you know, years ago about this, but when he came into the coffee shop to talk to me, he was dark hair, about my height, and was wearing a leather jacket. So it doesn't look anything like what you described, but he did send me flowers the very next day, 3 roses. Right,
okay, so it's the same person.
Yep, I still have the card from him.
You're married and you have cards from another man?
Well, I kept it because I didn't know who the guy was.
People, I hope you hear this.
Well, I tried to find the guy because I thought, well, what a great guy, you know, and I was young. I thought maybe I could have a relationship, but there was nobody where he said he was from by that name.
Roses doesn't mean you have to go to a relationship with the person.
I know, but I wanted to, I felt really good around him. I just wanted to have some kind of a friendship or something. It didn't have to be like a romantic relationship.
I see. So all I had to do was to send you 3 roses. And
This is about my spirit guide. It's not about you.
But that's awesome. That's an awesome experience.
Yes.
Okay. That's what was shown to me. I guess he wants you to talk about that.
Okay. Because we talked for a long time. I'd say at least maybe a couple hours.
Oh, you actually met him?
Yes.
Oh,
he
okay.
stood there at the coffee counter like hardly any customers came in. We just kept talking and talking. It was great.
You didn't get any business for 2 hours.
It wasn't my business. I was working for someone. I didn't mind being occupied.
If you were to think back, at that, for no one to show up for 2 hours, how often does that happen? Would that happen?
That hardly ever happens.
Exactly. So that's the first thing, right?
Right.
Next thing is, then when it happens like that, you needed that moment with him. It was probably a time in your life where and when they materialize like that, it's because you need them. Okay, there's something going on in your life, and they need to be there for you to give you that support. And I don't know what was going on in your life then, and you should put that on video. I don't know.
I won't.
but does that make sense to you?
It makes sense.
All right, and that's what they do. Your spirit guides are always there with you. You might not see them, but they're always there. You know, as you know, I experimented with that. And some people might want to do that. When I read about automatic writing and how you can meet your
Oh, that
spirit
was really
guide
cool
like that,
when all
right?
of a sudden he started doing this automatic writing from one of his spirit guides to look in the notebook and see the difference between his handwriting and that of his spirit guide is so cool. Okay, go ahead, continue.
Go ahead.
That's like exciting to me. And he even wrote there, and I know your wife is reading this. And I'm like, yay, this is so cool.
So you know we've done that.
We
you know?
have.
And then it stopped after a while as he told me he needed to go so I could continue the journey or whatever it was, but we have to book with it is the point.
Right.
And then you saw when I went, when he revealed to me his name, and then we went on the internet and actually did a search and compared the handwriting, and they
And
were
it was the same.
pretty much the same. Like, holy mackerel. And there's no way I can write like that because I don't even write that way.
No, you don't.
You know, so that's another way. If you want to meet your spirit guide, you might just want to get pen and paper or pencil and paper, whichever way you want to, whichever you want to use, and just hold it there, and you'll see your hand start moving. Just say, you know, my spirit guide, I want to meet you. Please introduce yourself, whatever you might want to say, or ask them a question, and just let your hand move. Don't move your hand; it will just start moving. You know,
And it may not happen the first or second time. It might take a
True.
few tries to get that.
True.
I haven't had it happen to me. So
oh, you tried it?
yes, once. But only once. I was scared I might
there
pull
we
in
go.
some kind of entity that I didn't want, you know?
So they're not going to, once you're scared, they're not going to show up. Remember that, okay? But they will show up, you know. Well, they're there. They might not show up for you to see, but they're there. And you can always just speak out loud. And people might think you've lost your mind, but you're not. And they will respond. You know, they will definitely respond. So that's a spirit guide. Now, loved ones. Right?
Yes, our dearly departed
ones.
loved ones, yes.
How do they work? Well, they pass away, but they always want, most of the time, the reason why our loved ones come back is because they want to reassure us or assure us that they're fine. Because a lot of people are worried about them. They want to
Right.
know, where did you go? Especially if you're Catholic like us. Did you go to the you-know-where place?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which of the three did you go to?
And again, from what I've been shown, nobody goes there, okay? And that's not how it works. When you pass away, the different levels of heaven, you go to one of those levels, and then you get trained. You know, they look at the things the decisions you've made, and they're not right or wrong decisions. That's the other thing. People are so worried about doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Just make a decision. As long as you know that you're not hurting anybody with it, it's a right decision. And then when you get up there, then they'll show you. Say, okay, why did you make that decision? Oh, this is what I was thinking. Well, maybe next time you want to make this decision. Say, oh, okay. So it's not right or wrong. Now, if you know you're hurting somebody, then that's a whole different ballgame, right? Anyway, so they will come. First thing is, as you know, whenever they come through, they always talk about they're fine, right?
Yes.
You know that. That's
Not
what
in
the first thing is.
pain,
Exactly.
everything is fine, I'm in a good place.
Because they want to assure their loved ones that are still here about that. But then there are times when they also want to just give guidance. And that's because they want to help us progress. Again, when somebody passes away, it's just a physical body that disappears. But we are spiritual beings, and we should remember that. The spirit doesn't die. You know, in the law of physics and chemistry, there's a law, actually, a law of conservation of energy, it's called. And it states that energy cannot be created or
Destroyed.
destroyed. Think about that. You can't create a new one, but you can't destroy it either. And that's why everything that's here gets burnt. And once it's burnt, it goes back to the oneness of God. So when we pass away, we just go back. Our energy leaves. Our soul is made of energy. It leaves. When God said He created in His own image, that's what He was talking about. Not that He looks Chinese or Japanese or whatever else. It's just that He's energy. And we are energy as well. So they come and they try to reach us in different ways. They might have, like Rhonda, right? Rhonda said that she has the cane, and sometimes she passes by the cane, I think, of her
The walking
grandfather.
stick of her
The walk-
grandfather. Right, and
And
she
then
can
there's this
smell him.
That's how he communicates with her. You know, my great grandfather, same thing. I smell
smell of tobacco.
Exactly, right? So you know that by now.
We had another one, Mr. Kim, who came to our house and walked around in the room upstairs when no one was upstairs, and he left
a penny.
the penny
Right.
on the floor for us.
He just said, "I'll leave you a sign," and he left a penny for us to know that he was there. You were the one that heard it.
Yes, I heard it. I asked you if you were walking around upstairs. You said no. Okay.
I didn't believe her, by the way. I thought she was losing her mind,
Yes.
imagining stuff. But so they'll do that, or they'll flicker lights. We've had individuals, and that's one of the major ways that they actually communicate.
Right, because it's easy for them to manipulate electricity. Right. The smells, electricity. Do they ever send anything like maybe? I have a sister who says that every time she sees ladybugs, she knows it's our grandmother around.
If there's something that's their favorite, let's say for example, like which grandmother was that?
Grandma Joan, my mom's mom.
Grandma Joan liked ladybugs?
I don't know.
Oh.
But my sister said every
So
time there were
I knew your grandma Joan.
ladybugs
Well, I
around.
didn't know her very well, but I knew.
She
her
liked
for
Barbie
years.
dolls.
So see, I would say in the case, if you saw Barbie dolls lying around the place, then you know it's her, right?
Right.
So I don't know about the ladybug thing because it would be
Right.
something that they liked, that they enjoyed, is how
Okay.
it would work. Just like my great grandfather on tobacco, because he had a tobacco pipe, or like your dad, if we start to smell tobacco around the house, we'll have
Pipe
to start
tobacco.
asking, is it your dad or is it my great grandfather? Because they both like tobacco. Even though I'd be able to tell because your dad smoked those fancy ones.
The fruity smelling
Exactly,
ones. Mhm.
exactly. Well, my great grandfather, he smoked
Just straight tobacco.
So we'd be able to tell actually. But that's one way. Another way is they flicker lights, or you might ask a question. You might say something like, ask them, are you all right? Or, how are things going over there? Or, all of a sudden, on the news on television, you might see something about, there's this really beautiful place, that
Or a person with the same name,
Exactly.
like Joan, for instance, and Joan's having a great time on the beach. Let's go interview her.
Exactly. And they know, my grandma just sent me a message. Now, you might not realize it, but that's how it works. They'll send you messages through different
Mediums.
exactly, as best as they can. Or somebody might just give you a phone call. They might say, hey, I was thinking about your grandma Joan. And they start talking and say, that's how she's answering me. So if we're careful, if we're just careful, if we're observant enough, we can tell that they're communicating with us.
I know for me, they communicate a lot through dreams.
That's another way. Exactly. That's another way.
All of a sudden, I'll just start dreaming, and they'll be in the dream. I'm like, oh, what are they doing in the dream? They're dead, but they're right here alive. And we'll have conversations, and I'll wake up and I'll tell my husband the conversations. He'll be like, oh yes, they were really there. They were telling you this, and it's great.
Right. Well, not only that, but then we have individuals, even before they pass away, where they might tell you something, and then they follow through after they pass away.
Yes, like my grandma did. Same grandmother, Grandma Joan. She always said before she died, she always said that when she dies, she will be above her coffin laughing at all of us. And sure
told you
enough,
that?
yes, and sure enough, here I bring my husband here, who wasn't my husband at the time. He was just my business partner, but he wanted to support our family. And he came with me to the funeral for my grandmother.
Which
and
I didn't like attending funerals, but I wanted to be
didn't.
nice.
And we all were going through the last part of the funeral service. We walked past the coffin before they closed it. And he pulled me off to the side, and my husband said, by the way, your grandmother is over the coffin. And she's...
No, I started laughing.
Oh, that's right, you did.
And then you asked me.
Why are you laughing?
Exactly.
And that's when he told me, well, your grandmother's above the coffin and she's laughing at everybody. I'm like, what? She said she would do that.
I don't remember you telling me that she said that. She actually said that.
Yep,
Did you ever tell me that she said that?
But at the funeral, I told you that.
okay.
She always said she would laugh at us at her funeral.
So they'll do things like that. And I brought that up because Brother T, right, my uncle, before he died, he said that's when our son was, he had applied to Vanderbilt.
Right.
And he said, don't worry, my nephew, I'll take care of it. He'll be in there. You don't have to worry about paying a penny.
Right, because that was our biggest concern before he
Exactly.
passed away. If he chooses Vanderbilt, how are we going to pay for all this?
It's like $60,000 a
A
year
year?
at that time.
Yes.
Who knows what it is now, right? And he told me, he said, don't worry
said,
about
"Don't
my
worry about
nephew.
it."
I'll take care of it. And Yeah, we wound up paying, but it was very little.
minimal.
Yeah, very little. So they do things and that's how you know, wow, they do things from where they are. Mm-hmm. You know, and he was the one that told me, let him go there. You know, let him go to Vanderbilt because I'll take care of it. Mm-hmm. So anyway,
I think
did
that
you cover
answers
those?
the question.
Okay.
Yes, I think that covers what we wanted to discuss for today.
So make sure that you reach out to your spirit guides, ask them questions, you know, experiment, use the candle method.
Or your departed loved ones.
Exactly. You know, if you're not sure if they're hearing you or if you're hearing them, use the candle method. Just light the candles and then just tell them, you know, if you're here, just blow one of the candles and see what happens. Now, don't run when the candle, otherwise they'll stop. You have to be like, okay, that's cool. Even if you're scared, you have to be...
Stay calm.
Exactly.
Breathe. Or one candle might flicker more than the others.
That's
That
correct.
might also be a sign. So just make sure you let them know what it is you're looking for.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much for helping answer these questions.
You are
and
welcome.
Please be sure, if this video has helped you, to share this video with others. Remember to like, subscribe, and that's all, folks.